let's give it up to all the amazing volunteers. For this to happen, I'm not talking about the con, I'm talking about women collectively to be together, to support each other, to have each other's backs. I'm part of the Time's Up thing happening too. Hear some of those stories and what women have been through, not just in the entertainment business. I mean, what's happened to the farm worker women is awful. It happens everywhere. So the more we can do this kind of thing, where we can be sisters for each other and encourage, and you know, the men in my life sometimes feel a little threatened. They're like, oh, but it's like the more we can encourage men that we're not trying to exclude them from it. We would love to have their help in sort of this movement of equality and equal parity for everybody, the better. So if you know a cool guy in your life, like get them on board with you, because we're not trying to exclude. You know, our whole thing is we want to include, you know, and we just want to be treated fairly. Yeah. So. The better. It's so important, you know. Go ahead.
Hi. I know that the Root Shaw development, as far as a ship or a relationship, sort of happened organically. The Root Shaw thing happened a little more organically. I know you guys have said before that you sort of felt it from the beginning and you kind of played it off that way. Did you do any research for the actual like queer aspect of it? Did it color the way that you approach the characters once you sort of saw
I made out with a lot of women in my life.
But any actual, like, you know, I mean, aside from the real life research of it, any research for it? Did it change the way that you approached the character once you saw that?
It was also a show called The L Word. Kate's gonna come next year.
They're talking the mic.
I mean, I think the thing, and maybe this is the wrong answer, but for me, that I really loved about these two characters and their relationships is it was just part of who they were. So it was just playing a person. There wasn't like you needed to, it was like you felt love for this other person, and I think that's a human response. So it didn't feel like it needed to be defined. You know, I didn't feel like I needed to know research to know how to love her. You know?
Hi, this question is for Amy. So Root had some pretty awesome aliases and cover stories in the final season. Which one of them was your favorite?
I like Mr. Berenstein. They were laughing a lot. I liked whenever I got to make them laugh a lot. They were all fun. I made up the Valerie over myself, so I was proud of that. Just to strangle someone with point cheeks. I thought that was really fun, and I got to do it. You know, follow your dreams.
Just briefly, the question comes from something that I heard Pepperell say about playing Hot in an interview, and what she said is that playing a character who was in some ways different than herself taught her things, and she brought her lessons from playing that character. So my question for both of you is, have you taken home lessons from playing the characters Root and Shaw, especially considering that they're neurotypical characters?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that question. You know, I feel like with every character that I've done, I try to tap into the part of myself that feels the most similar to that character. But what's interesting is, you know, especially somebody like Shaw specifically, she was such a badass. She was so tough. She was so able in a sense that there was nothing that a man could do that she couldn't do. And that was something that I remember, you know, anytime I'm going through things in my life, and I'm kind of going through an icky personal thing right now, but is, okay, like, what would Shaw do? What would Shaw do in this instance? And, you know, the other big thing that I will say too is I've spent a lot of time in the LGBTQ community, and they've taught me more than anything. They've taught me more than anybody. Being able to meet the different men and women and talk to them and hear their stories, it's like they are really no different. They're no different from anything that I know, and so to just kind of humanize everything, just go, holy shit, we really are like one and the same. We really are. We all bleed red at the end of the day. So who is somebody to judge somebody else for either their color of their skin or their sexual preference or whatever they want to do, So, but my biggest teachers in my life have been you guys.
I feel pretty similar to Sarah. I think that's one of the kind of gifts of being an actor is you get to play these different people who aren't you, and hopefully you can take a piece of each person you get to play and kind of build yourself to be this character that you want to be in a sense. And I think for me, Root has really been one of my favorite characters that I've ever gotten to play, and I just something about the conviction she had and the strength and the unapologetic, she just, whatever she believed and whatever she loved and wanted to fight for, that she fought for. And that's probably the main thing that I hope that, I kind of use that as a reminder to myself, because sometimes in real life I am way more timid and shy and I'm like, oh, it's okay, let them do it, I don't want to get in their way. And so I hope that I have learned some lessons from her about, just fighting for what you think is right.
Hi, my name is
Hi, first of all, Stella from Chinese fans, and we always want you to come to China together. Maybe someday.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Where's your girl? That's gonna happen. Where is she? Yes.
My question is for two of you. Is more present. Have you met anyone interesting or did something interesting here at Clexacon, or met any actors or actors you want to work with later? Here at Clexacon, we know that Amy has met Kyler earlier today. Have you did something interesting too, Sarah?
I haven't. I didn't meet Kyler. I haven't really met anybody. There was an actress that I met, Erica. She's here for some animation stuff. Oh, Erica Local. Yes. And she was on Reverie. So yeah, we got to. She had a beautiful storyline in Reverie, and so we were with each other then. And but yeah, I haven't really been able to meet too many of the other girls.
I'm hugging her.
Brunch.
She's going to say brunch for weeks, I can tell.
I was just wondering, because Root and Shaw's dynamic only works because it's Root and Shaw, you can't substitute any other characters, or it's not a romance, it's just a hate-hate relationship. I was just wondering, this is for Amy, is like if Shaw were someone who was a little more in touch with her emotions, would Root still like her as much, or would she find her less interesting, or would just, like, how would that change their dynamic?
No, that's hard to say, 'cause I'm not sure Shaw would be Shaw at that point. But I do think part of the fun is, getting to break down the barriers. And I think that happens probably a lot more off screen than you guys got. I think that she would not, I don't think there's any way Root would ever say that Shaw hated her.
There were bruises, but not violence.
Hello. I wanted to throw it back a little bit, and I was wondering what your guys' take would be on if Carter stayed a little bit longer in the show, and her and Root interacted a little bit, how well that it went, if they would have been friends or if they wouldn't have got along. Like, what kind of dynamic do you guys think that you would have had Carter stayed a little bit longer?
I hair would have. I would have had to grow on her.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would have been game from the beginning. Hopefully, I would still be alive to meet Shaw. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks again for coming. I wanted to ask Sarah what you think Shaw's reaction would be to after, because we didn't really get to see it after she got back, and like Finch really didn't look for her or want to look for her. Like if she had found that out that he knew, and like what her reaction would have been to that, because we really didn't get to see that.
Yeah, I think, God, I'm trying to remember. But wasn't there an episode where I said something to Harold about you need to look for me?
That was really brief. Yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, I don't think Shaw's somebody who's very big on words. I don't think she's going to be like, why did you? Why did you like, I don't think she would ever do that. But I think the great thing about how they colored with Shaw, and sometimes as an actor, it was hard for me because I wanted to give more. I wanted to act more. And they just were like, nope, less. And, was that when you did see those cracks in her veneer, like, it was so rewarding because you had waited for so long, and then when she did get emotional, like when she thing with Amy, the sex scene with Amy, the stuff with the little girl, and just wherever it happened, it was so warming because somebody doesn't do that very often. It took a lot for her to get to that place. So, I think she was very hurt by Finch not looking for her, for her to even be able to say just that one thing.
Do you think that there were any there's a lot that we didn't get to see, we got a lot of little kernels and stuff, but was there any, and it always felt very natural, were there any fill in the blank stuff that in your head you think that interactions that maybe even where Shaw's walls came down, or between Root and Shaw, that we can get
Sort of the inner voice of my character, kind of?
or something, stuff, little fill in the blanks of maybe times they had together, missions they went on that sort of filled in some of those gaps between the antagonism and then where everything was.
You mean you want me to make up things that happened in between? So before they got into the safe house, went to Shaw's, and Shaw just lives in this tiny little one-bedroom apartment in the Lower East Side. They went and had brunch, and then Shaw went like this. Or she walked into the safe house, and then the scene started. And I think that's the end of this panel.
Hey, so my question is for Sarah. I was wondering if you had control over Shaw's fate in season 4 and 5, what story arc would you have written for her?
4 and 5. Okay. I was gone for a bit because I was pregnant, and I'm trying to remember. I was actually very. Let's see. What was it? 5? 5 was where I was in the simulation, right?
Yeah.
Right. 4 is when I got shot, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And what's great is when you guys ask me to write my favorite lines, and I'm like, and then you're like, you said this. And you said that. They know every detail. It's so impressive. Oh my God, it's so impressive. And no, I was actually really happy with the way it all went down. And I kind of thought, I was like, oh wow, these twins brought me one of the best storylines I have ever acted in my life. To be able to play, it's like when I first got the job, I remember telling the creator I wanted to shave my head, I wanted to have a bionic arm, and I wanted to and he was like, okay, Linda, handle it. Not what we hired you for, but thanks for the input. But I really got to live out those fantasies in season 5 when, I came back and it was the whole like medical thing. I had to bust through the mirror. I honestly, I don't think I could have come up with anything better, but I was very happy with how all that turned out to be. I mean, I thought I had a great storyline. I felt so lucky to be acting that. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you both for being here and for being so positive.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
I was just wondering, so everybody's acting on the show is so nuanced and great that it's really easy watching it to forget the amount of conversations you have over earpiece, whereas so I'm assuming you shot that without the other actor actually with you. So I was just wondering if you remember if there were scenes that were like the most difficult to have to shoot alone in a room, or ones where they actually asked the actor to come in and just be off screen because it would be too difficult to do alone.
Well, that never happened.
Michael Emerson was the kind of king of that. He would do 15 pages in one day alone in the subway by himself. Other times we did like 1 page. Yeah, he was good, but did you ever have someone off?
Well, we had our script supervisor, Tony, was always yelling out the other person's lines. But it was really hard working with Jim Caviezel sometimes because he has this like, so sorry. And
That was loud.
I remember there were times I couldn't we're in a scene together, and I don't know when it's my turn to talk. Instead, I'd watch his mouth, and when his mouth stopped moving, I would go. And then sometimes he took pauses. And I'd be like, and that was difficult at times because I can't hear. That was hard.
The machine, it may have been my own, like I just didn't want to let go and leave everybody, but I did come to set when I was just the voice of the machine. So in this scene when Harold is in the car on the side of the road, I was crouched in the floorboard, saying my line.
That is dedication, people. Yes, that is a true actor. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for being here. This is about Clexacon 100 sort of connection. So Paige Turco was on in a minor role in Person of Interest. I don't think Root had any scenes with her. I know Jim kind of worked with her the most, but how was it working with Paige and the other minor characters? It seemed like the core team, but there's some really good.
I did have, I had like a ladies' night episode.
Yeah, it was
with
fun.
her, with
Very nice.
Raji and she was great. She was wonderful. I think she was filming something else at the time. Our interactions were very short with each other. The makeup artist always got pissed because Paige was always changing her makeup up. So, I'm spilling the tea. I'm spilling it. But yeah, she was my interaction with her was so short, but she was great. If you see her, tell her I said hi.
Thank you.
Hello. So, even though Person of Interest ended, unfortunately, 2 years ago. Oh, am I too far? Well,
Yeah.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. So even though Person of Interest ended almost 2 years ago, unfortunately, I just want to thank you both for wanting to come back here because it really means a lot. But I want to know what it is that you two think that resonates so strongly with people about Ruth Shaw's characters together and individually. Because obviously, there's this.
I mean, it really is pretty touching just to be here. Because I mean, this morning when I was getting on the plane to come, I thought everyone's kind of moved on. I was like, worst case scenario, I get to hang out with Sarah all day. But it just, it's I guess the only way that I kind of would understand is I sort of feel that way about these characters too. Like it really was a special storyline, and I think getting to act in it was a similar feeling to how you guys felt watching it. So we kind of got to experience that sort of, I guess, narcissism, or I don't know what the word is, but
yeah, that's a good
word. Getting to do it together, we were really excited about getting to tell the story, and it always felt so honest, and it never felt like they were forcing something that wasn't who these people were, and it didn't feel like they were shying away from something because they didn't want it to. It just felt, it was just a really unique way of getting to act on a network television show. Like it just didn't seem like it was even possible that it was happening, and so I think it was special for us in the same way, so I kind of understand, because I was like, I want to do that again.
Sarah?
Okay.
Like, what do you think it is about Shaw that people connect with so much?
I think because she's not perfect. You know, she's one of those people where you can tell that she has issues, she struggles, she's trying. You know, I think those are all very human stories. Those are all very relatable stories. And, you know, the fact that she kind of is so tough and she can, you know, kick a boy's ass any day of the week. And for me, a big attraction was doing the stunts. I'd never done stunts before. And having to learn stunt choreography was my favorite part of the job.
You were good at it.
Thank you. I loved it. Yeah, no, my husband was a little scared after he saw the first, like one of the first punches I threw. He was like, oh. But it was, you know, it was make believe. You know, it's like as honest and as relatable as these stories are, you're still watching. You're watching pretend. You're watching play. You know, and it's a fantasy. And to be able to drive up and down the streets of New York at night with me like half hanging out of the car with like a gun and shooting people, like, are you kidding me? Like, how fucking cool is that? Her with her double barrel like action, like it's just like, you know, it's pretty. Okay, we have time for one more quick question, okay? One more.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. One of the things that I think the reason why Shoot or Ruth Shaw stayed with me as a fan is not, I related to them, or I appreciated their relationship, not just because it was between two women, but because these are both characters who appreciated each other just as they were. And especially since Shaw has a personality disorder, always felt like something was wrong with her, but Ruth was totally okay with that, and in fact, liked her for that very reason. Could you share the features or characteristics that you think Shaw appreciated about Ruth, or that Ruth appreciated about Shaw?
I think what Shaw really liked about Ruth was, like you said, she saw her for who she was and she accepted it. She wasn't ever trying to change her. She wasn't trying to say, oh, why don't you open up a little bit more, sweetie? You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't there. And I think that's why the You Were My Safe Place, you know, was because the most she ever felt connected to anybody was to her. And I think it was because she was completely allowing of who she was. And it's actually a beautiful, like, example for everybody to live by, you know, when it comes to your personal relationships and how, whether it's business or whatever it is, to find somebody who loves you for who you are. And you don't have to change to fit into somebody else's ideal. And if somebody doesn't accept you for who you are, then they can go fuck themselves. They're not meant to be. So, you know, there's a lot of lessons, actually, now that I'm listening to these questions and I'm thinking about it in such a different way. There's a lot of really beautiful life lessons that Ruth Shaw kind of, you know, whether it's subliminal or whatever, like, taught us.
Maybe. Wow, I wish I was better at cussing. I mean, it's so, to me, it kind of everything about Shaw was what Ruth loved. I think that getting to see that little smile when it came out and she tried to hold it back, and how she fought for these people who claimed that weren't her, weren't her friends. I just felt like Ruth kind of saw through it and saw her heart and her love, and it just, I don't know. I can't think of much that she didn't love about her.
Thank you too.